Okay, all right. Welcome to the New Legend Podcast. Today is a fun, exciting throwback episode. I'm here with a good friend of mine and one of the founders of the podcast, Luke Stevenson.
I get that title. Sweet. Good to be back.
What's
It's fresh to death here. You guys are hanging in there. It's good.
Yeah, so today we are more than three quarters of the way through the year.
More. Ooh.
I thought it'd be fun to just do a catch-up episode. Some of you guys that have been faithful to the show from the beginning got to know and love Luke and some of the things he's interested in and working on. And so Luke's back. And as you know, we talk about vintage 4x4s, adventure culture, family, and being a man in the 21st century. And like we hover around different ideas, not always there's always an automotive thread, but we're not just like a car podcast.
Trying to tie it into life.
Trying to tie it into the context of life, because cars are situated in family, society, culture, and we've been going through a lot of stuff in our society lately, in our culture, contentious election, the dreadful COVID.
Big Rona.
Yeah. So I thought it would be good to just kind of come at things and talk about what's new in the automotive space, what's been happening, what are we excited about? And you mentioned earlier, what is the perspective that you and I come at the automotive industry?
Not necessarily experts, but enthusiasts.
Yes, that's a great way to say that.
Experts in the scout world, I would say, but enthusiasts in the automotive, off-road, overlanding, adventure.
So if you are like a professional auto blogger or a car like reviewer, don't be like, these guys are stupid.
Yeah.
Because we're just stoked about stuff.
Cool, man.
We definitely are, I think, up to speed to some degree. We try to stay relevant and give an honest shake, even though we love old things, like we give a fair shake to new things, and we get excited about that. So first off, I wanted to talk about the importance of kind of like the community built around automobiles and car enthusiasm and vintage 4x4. So how do you see that space developing? How do you see it as even more important moving into the future of just local meetups, groups that are forming, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as a shop, just on Instagram, we've been seeing a lot more people just engaged, involved. Like that's a pretty big sense of community. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before, where car shows were kind of, you go to a parking lot, you pop your hood, you pull out your lawn chair, and that's your Saturday. But now it's becoming a little bit more like, how do I get this in my life? Bring my kids with me? How do I keep them, entertained, doing stuff, having fun, and connecting with other people? So
especially like, I do find it unique in the 4x4, the vintage 4x4 culture. It's very experiential. Like you don't own a vintage 4x4 to just sit and look at it. I mean,
hopefully not.
And most people, even if it's just a dream of adventure, it's still there. Like, I can do this. I can go camping. And we find it like, it's why we're so interested in the overlanding space and in the gear space, because that's what I dream about. I love working on my stuff, and I think a lot about like all the projects I have to do, but it's so that we can get out and explore and go take trips.
And I think vintage 4x4 is unique from other automotive classes. Kind of hits a little bit of everybody, because it's fun to do off-road, like not even off-road, just outdoor stuff, cruising around. Kids just seem to love them. Like I always pass kids on the street, they're pointing at them.
They love it.
Like wives love driving them, getting out, playing. Like it just hits everybody kind of enjoys them.
I love
Whereas
that.
like maybe a muscle car is this type of person.
Like Randy Macho Man Savage.
Yeah, I bet he loves them. Everybody.
All right. Yeah, man. So that's what we're focused on. Luke and I were talking the other day about, we've done some really great meetups in Nashville, Austin. Went to another one in Nashville, thrown by some friends of ours, Old Iron Off-Road, and the 615 Scout Club. That was great time.
615?
Bigger than ever.
How many trucks were at that one? I missed that one.
It was like 40 trucks. It was like, that's a lot to like go on a trail ride and a drive with 40 vehicles and like 2 to 3 people per vehicle.
And that's not even like vintage trucks. That was Scouts.
Scouts, dude. That was Scouts. So we talked about like focusing New Legends efforts in cities, because I saw like an event in Austin that was like all Toyota based, but vintage stuff. So FJ60s, 40s, 55s. And I'm like, man, those people have a lot in common with the Scout community. And so we're going to really try hard to do some more vintage 4x4 open to everybody.
Yeah.
Meetups.
Getting more inclusive, because everybody, they're all having fun. They're all in the same vein.
Now it does change. It's like having a dinner, like having a nice meal with maybe like 1 to 3 friends is different than having a meal with 40 people.
Get the party room in the back.
Yeah. So I get that. And that what we want to do is no replacement for local, smaller communities getting together and having like a real deep potential for relationships to grow. But at the same time, how cool would it be to have like 120 vintage 4x4s? Dude. Just geek out, man, and go driving around and go do some cool stuff.
With so much that's dividing us, it's nice to grab some things that bring us together.
And that's what's awesome, dude. At the meetup in Nashville, and this is a month before an election. I don't really buy the media narrative that America's that. I think like the extremes are divided.
The extremes, the loud people to get heard.
That's right. And then that gets like, oh, everyone's divided. But dude, I meet so many people, and sure, we would disagree on like probably issues in politics, but we still hang out and have fun and can love each other and enjoy our time together. And I think I didn't hear politics or anything come up at all in that community of people. And it was a pretty diverse crowd. Mm-hmm. So keep it up. Love that. I can't wait till like, I don't know, just therapeutics, vaccines, something to happen, man. I just can't wait to get, as they say, back to normal. But just to get out but that brings me to another point that I wanted to discuss.
Right.
With businesses shut down, with the uncomfort of people pro and for mask wearing or whatever, more and more people are heading out to the wild.
And getting outside.
It's like crazy how much I have friends in the camper industry, like it's called the outdoor recreation industry or recreational outdoors. It's not a community, that space is like blowing up. Everyone I know that is in the business has long wait lists. They can't keep up with demand. That's campers, RVs, vehicles.
Didn't you at one point you were telling me that some company, it was like 80% of their demographic was like young to middle-aged women?
Yeah.
Which is like, when you think outdoor stuff, you kind of just think young boys, men romping around, but it totally breaks that.
I agree.
Which I was surprised by, but that's awesome.
It is awesome. And it's like, because it's the one, I don't know, I think it's an expression of freedom. Like when you're out, man, and just adventuring, you're like, sure, you might have a destination, but it's like, you're just free. It's the difference between driving somewhere and flying somewhere. When you fly, you got to put a mask on. You sit in this little seat and
get your little janky peanuts.
Get your janky pretzels. Yeah.
Nobody wants that anyway.
Yeah. Or those like strudel cookies. I hate those things.
The Stroop waffles?
Yeah. I don't,
you don't like those?
No, not at all.
Those are delicious.
Cause like, I don't know. I just like salty stuff more than
Stroopenhausen. It's a balance.
So there's freedom. And I think that's at the heart and we're not going to dig deep into that. I got a couple episodes coming up where we're going to dig in more deeply into that particular topic. But
it's especially with Big Rona, it's everybody's flocking that way.
They're like, screw it, man. I'm not going into a city that's all locked down and depressed and in the middle of a dark winter. Right. Like I'm going to get out where the sun is shining and I'm free to go explore and be in the trees and in the rocks and with small groups of people. So I did a little bit of just Googling, and I didn't know this. The outdoor recreation business, meaning campers, RVs, backpacking, like just the whole, like humans staying in the woods or like that, or transportation or the whole industry, $42 billion industry.
Billion with a B?
With a B. That's crazy. That's a big industry. With a projected growth rate of 7% annually. That's from 2019 to projected out to like 2025. So that says a lot about where people's hearts and minds and interests are at. And we certainly see it in the scout space.
That was like 2019.
Yeah, that was from like fall of 2019.
Dude, so I bet 2020's way blown up.
I
this
agree.
year, I bet if it's way bigger numbers.
So people are getting out, and like even like our friends at FSR, they're coming out with new models of tents. Like everyone's innovating, and I think that's been a bright side, a silver lining of the virus and the pandemic is like people are dreaming again and thinking
it
again.
definitely shakes it up a little bit. I feel like a lot of people had the routine of these, going to bars, doing whatever, and then it's like, well, all that stuff is canceled. What else is there?
Yep. So. Like, dude, I had this an older rooftop tent that I was just selling on Facebook Marketplace, and this young couple from Minneapolis, it was awesome. They're like, we've never done this before in our lives. This was like Friday. They're like, Tuesday, we just went and bought this Tacoma. And Friday, we're here putting a tent, and they had a rack already. They went like Wednesday, put the rack on. Friday, they're at our space. He's like, can you help me bolt the rooftop tent on? And they're like, we're leaving today to go to Colorado for like 10 days.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, that's awesome. And it's amazing that we have that kind of accessibility to not only the gear but to the people are motivated. And I think that's really
make it happen.
It's really awesome. It's exciting. It reminds me of like the old days, like in the 50s and 60s, just like the first kind of people that were pioneering, like the camper industry was blowing up. Airstream was getting on the map. Everyone was like, after the war, I think there was a real hunger to like start. The national parks were just getting established. Like the highway system was getting established, and all that's coming. There's that same spirit right now, which I really love. Okay, which leads me into the next space.
All right,
we're just gonna keep banging through topics.
Let's do it.
Like shifting a good old T19.
Oh yeah, what's that quad shift thing?
Yeah. The lightning rods.
Lightning rods. If you haven't heard of lightning rods,
look up Hurst lightning rods. And if you have an old vehicle, you want to put those in.
Slam jams. All right. Anyways.
Okay. Also, we're going to shift gears to some car. So tons of innovation in the camper RV space. Very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a reality. So it's going to be interesting to watch that. It's also going to be interesting to see how like events like the Overland Expo just like explode once people feel free again. Because I think there's a real hunger for just events and getting out and concerts. And I know you miss
I miss music so much.
Yeah, live music.
Yeah, it's great. I haven't stopped listening entirely. Live music, that's a good caveat.
Music. It is the dark winter. Okay, electric and combustion engine. Ooh. Electric innovation, I think, is really progressing rapidly, much more rapidly than the combustion engine did, in my opinion. Like, for example, we just saw this news release that GM Performance is going to launch in
I think next year.
2021 fall, like SEMA of 2021, they're going to launch an electric crate motor, plug and play, cruise and connect.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
California will still smog it somehow.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
But once, like, because there's not outliers, the big like EV West, Electric GT, there's a couple other, I don't know all the names, but there's other people coming up with like
retrofitters.
Yeah, retrofitters are coming out. But once it's like the OEs start playing,
it's going to be tough.
Because think about how long it took them, like Ford and Mopar, like it's been the last 5 years that they've had a crate motor program, like a plug and play crate motor program. So it's like, they're already hitting it hard, and props to GM for doing that. Mm-hmm. So we're excited to do one. We haven't done an EV conversion yet because we haven't found the right customer and right project.
And it is, as far as retrofitting and kind of aftermarket shops, I would say it's in its infancy.
It's totally agree.
We don't have the electric knowledge, so we'd be leaning heavy on some other shops.
And that's what's so big about GM.
Yeah.
Like when you get a major player who's going to warranty it, who's going to have like, it's called a cruise and connect. That means you hook up 3 wires. You put your not gas pedal. You put your accelerator pedal, electric potentiometer in the system. Plug in this battery.
I hope so, man. I hope it's simple.
Because I really believe, I'm not 100% sold, like my friend Stuart, who you've listened to on the podcast. I don't think that the combustion engine is going away as fast as some people speculate. But I do think in the recreational space, muscle cars, classic cars, I think that is the future for that. That'll come sooner than later.
As far as retrofitting, you're talking? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you gave props to GM, but I give them props. Usually it's those big machines, GM, Ford, the big companies are really slow to get that stuff rolling because they're just so set in their ways and so set on the production they have It's all the little companies that kind of jump and push the innovation. So yeah, props to them for
Props
doing
to them. It's a big move.
And I would say in the car, well, I don't know what do you got?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say in our space, the average person doesn't like electric motors.
I agree.
It's muscle, it's power, it's gas.
Sound.
Yeah, sound.
I was talking to my friend in Germany.
The feel.
That diesel, he was telling me that diesel engines are actually being banned in a lot of major cities in Germany. So diesel engine.
Crazy.
It is crazy because it's like.
I thought, Germany was, and we were talking about this, but Germany is like what I think of as
the
diesel.
Audis, dude. Yeah, I was surprised too. And it's like literally, it doesn't make. This is the weird thing about these sometimes dumb laws. When you try to progress technology by just restricting and making laws around old technology, it doesn't work right.
I don't think just banning. I think it
right.
needs to be better. Make it better.
That's right. So like, there's literally like this street, diesel engines are not allowed to drive down this street. So you plug into your map a bypass route and literally drive 3 times as far.
Chugging your diesel 3.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert on that.
Hopefully they're doing the math and going, yeah, we need to protect resources and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But still, it'd be nice to see just the better technology win out and people go, yep, I'm going to do that.
That's right. And like, what's cool. So have you watched it all Long Way Up?
No.
Ewan and Charlie there's like Long Way Around, Long Way Down. This is now Long Way Up. They're going from like
those are the motorcycle.
Tierra del Fuego in Chile or Argentina, all the way up back to LA. It's 15,000 miles. The whole show is really built around doing on electric motorcycles. So they get these Harleys. But in the preview, they're meeting because Rivian had like the chase vehicles. Mm-hmm. So the Rivian's like early on in the and if you guys have seen the show, there's no spoiler. So watch the show quick before you listen to this. But Rivian's like, we'll make it a major infrastructure opportunity. We'll put chargers every 150 miles, 15,000 miles.
They're starting at the tip of South America.
Yeah.
And headed up into North America.
And they didn't. They got like maybe 5 instead of 500. And the whole show is really about the challenges of between like pole charging, where they take a diesel Sprinter van and pull the Rivians to charge the batteries, to like bringing in big diesel generators to charge the Harley bikes, because the range is 100 miles max. And like early on in the show, I'm like, they look like they're going so slow.
Yeah, I remember you talking about them.
Yeah, and like, it's a big digital speedometer. So like when the drone will fly over to get the shot, you're like, it says like 32 miles an hour in an open freeway, because it's like at 70, it gets like 50 miles of range.
And you said they're going 1,500 miles?
Yeah. So anyway, point is, yes, there's innovation, but like you said, it's definitely in its infancy.
Oh yeah, especially in adventure kind of off-grid stuff is like, it's not there.
And the infrastructure is way in its infancy. I don't know. I don't own an electric vehicle, so I don't know if we do a crate motor, can we pull up to and it won't be free. That's a big misnomer that a lot of people think, that electric charging in these supercharge, because it was free.
Right. That was Tesla's kind of get you in. It's free charging. Free
and now
power,
it's like some places it's like, and you send me a note, but I think it's like like an expensive end is like $1 a minute to charge, and it takes 40 minutes to fully charge.
Whoa, that seems like a lot, but maybe, I don't know.
And then the problem, here's the problem, bros.
Fact check that.
Yeah, please fact check me. But and I'm a skeptic, just by nature. But like, once gas is gone and it's all electric, if you don't think that they're going to start raising prices because now they got you, we'll be firing up the charcoal gasifiers, dude.
Yeah, and if we're like just to rag on, because I'm psyched. I would love to put an electric motor in a Scout.
Yeah, me too.
Just do frosty burnouts, because I think it'd be amazing. For
why are they frosty?
I don't know. Electric cooling. There's
I gotcha.
I don't know. But what I don't like is my phone after 5 years like starts glitching out, and you open the camera sometimes and it shuts down and does weird things, and I'm worried that that's going to be electric cars. That there's a lot of risk when you're cruising down a car at 80 miles an hour. Like, so that has me a little bit nervous. In these, again, it's just power. Like it's not controlling the brakes and the steering and that kind of stuff,
right.
which is nicer.
Oh yeah, another thing, just on the long way up, just another little nitpick. In the Rivians, they're always like got full winter jackets, hats. Like I'm like, dude, they're so bundled up because they can't put the heat on because it gets less range
in the truck. You're saying,
yeah. So who wants to live like that?
There's trade-offs.
But let's put it into a framework.
I think you do need those like those hard pushes, those adventure rides, and that kind of stuff to try to,
of course,
figure out what's wrong,
push
how
the
can we improve
technology.
it. Yeah. So that between that kind of stuff and racing, I think you get there.
Yes, but let's talk about so like, for example, I was driving a Scout 80 today, an original 152 1963 Scout 80 that has 80, maybe 70 horsepower. It's 50 miles an hour top speed.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I love driving them, but it is what it is. So trying to take an electric, there's a time and a place right now. Let's speak in the next two years. There's a context for that electric vehicles and bikes and e-bikes work really great for. And there's a context, like you said, in the outdoor enthusiast space that right now it's just not, you're not going to go take an epic overland trip on a vehicle that has, even if it has a 200-mile range, there's no charging stations out in rural, remote areas. So then you sit there for overnight and charge at someone's house and slip them $20. So let's talk about the things we love about. So you talked about doing frosty burnouts. They have
Frosty
a lot of torque.
burnouts. I like the mini bikes and the little commuter bikes and that kind of stuff. Super 73. I think those are awesome.
Juiced,
all those guys.
Yeah, I love it too. I'm with you. We haven't gotten our hands on one because they're all out of stock.
Yeah, Super 73. If you guys listen to this, hit up Super 73 and tell them they need to send us one to throw on the back of a Scout. We'll take some trips and do some fun stuff. But those are just, and we've been talking about this before because they're like this bootlegger. They're kind of in a sweet spot of, it's not a motorcycle where you need insurance and all this other stuff.
No registration. It's pretty awesome.
But it's better than a bicycle, so you can just go urban assault style, cutting through your, don't cut through
yards.
But cutting through your own yard, down bike paths, parking lots.
It's awesome. And even at like some of the better e-bikes are like a 70-mile range, and that's probably generous. If you're romping on it, it might be 40 or 50. But even 25 miles, like who rides a bike?
There was some company that, it was a shorter range, but they went like 60 miles an hour.
Those are the Onyx ones. But
yeah.
I don't know if those, I think that's a little bit more gray area as far as registration. Because technically, I think a lot of the laws are if it has pedals, it's considered a bicycle. Okay. If it doesn't have pedals.
And Onyx doesn't have pedals.
I don't think so. Because there's another category that like blurs this line into motorcycles. Yeah. And I think if like the restriction on e-bikes is 28 miles an hour is pretty, but there's little mods you can do.
Yeah.
But still, it's fun,
I think
dude.
They do go 60, right? Those Onyx ones?
Yeah, it's pretty
nuts.
nuts.
Which would be fun, but it is a little maybe too much for comfort.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, we're excited about that. We're really excited to take our Scouts out, throw some e-bikes that are lightweight, super fun. 40 miles of range is
just
great.
Little micro explorations.
And just bombing around towns.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're stoked about that. So did we exhaust the combustion engine versus electric? No, not even close. Yeah. But let's talk about really quick. I call it like the twilight flare of the combustion engine. So it's like they're in their twilight.
Yeah.
Like they're going away. It's inevitable. But they're flaring hot.
Not a renaissance, but it's... Yeah.
Dude, there's just so much power and so much efficiency.
There's wild stuff happening.
And I love it.
Combustion motors.
Yeah. So that'll bring us into the next topic. So really quick. So the new Hummer just got released. Mm-hmm. I should have looked more at the specs, but I think it's like 500-mile range. It's supposed to compete with Tesla's Cybertruck. It's pretty cool looking.
It looks like a big boy.
Big boy, quad steer, crab walking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the wheels, you can crab walk, do all sorts of wild stuff. That's pretty
Again,
sweet.
It's a pretty ambitious project. I'm pretty excited about it. Will I own one? No. But it seems pretty exciting.
Would you drive one? Yes.
I would drive one 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Just boost that thing. But you still got Rivian, Bollinger Motors. There's a lot of little bootlegger companies that have a lot of, I say bootlegger, but they got a lot of money.
No, and that's what I find fun about the electric vehicle space is now you can compete with the big dogs. Like to bring up a different car company and
That's
like try and
crazy.
actually compete in the market is super tough. But now these guys can come out of nowhere and they can be something.
Yeah.
Because everybody's kind of starting from scratch. You know, this was 5-10 years ago starting from scratch, but they're like, you're not trying to play catch up too far. So.
And access to advanced manufacturing is changing the world. Like you no longer need $5 million in dies to like tool up to make 1 million fenders.
Yep.
Like you can, and I say that sounds facetious, 1 million fenders, but F-150s, they sell like
It's got to be at least $1 million a year, probably.
At least $1 million a year. So, but there's ways to make new molds, like with 3D printing, laser, like I don't know the extent of all the technology. We'll get into that more in future episodes because I'm very interested. But let's talk about some new vehicles that we dig. Okay, what do you dig, buddy?
What do I dig? I dig the Bronco.
What about it?
Maybe as a scout guy, I'm not supposed to say that, but I dig it.
Boo. I love it too.
I think they did a good job of mixing kind of the old vintage aesthetic with modern touches, modern technology. I think they nailed it.
It's killer, dude. 35s, like lockers.
Yeah, you can get 35s. Like,
and I don't know about you, but I'm loving that. Like, what is it? A 2-liter?
I think they came with you can get a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder turbo,
10-speed.
10-speed automatic or 7-speed manual.
Which sounds, that would be same with you?
7-speed manual?
No, I would do a manual 4-cylinder turbo.
Well, so the other one is, I think it's a 6.
The EcoBoost. They're both EcoBoost.
2.7 6-cylinder V6 with a twin turbo, which is wild. But I think that one I read you couldn't get with the manual.
Oh, got it.
It's only a 10-speed.
And just like they have all those fun.
A 4-cylinder turbo, I think it was pushing 270 horsepower.
Yeah, it's nuts. And like great efficiency.
Crazy.
Now, we have a Ford tech on our staff, and he says some of those early and or late EcoBoost 4-cylinders, like when you push a motor, but it shows you how much advancement in technology influences longevity. But there's definitely like, you push a 2-liter engine to 1,000 horsepower, it's going to have reliability issues.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure Ford knows what they're doing, and it's going to be good.
Hopefully this isn't getting better.
But fun models, fun packaging. It's actually, I don't know about you as a designer, but it's, as a business owner, I'm like, oh, dude, like we can do it. We can come out with models for our scouts. It was actually motivating to me to make our scouts even better, come out with more creative platforms and models. And
I think that's good. They're having fun with it. But yeah, I think the design is fairly function based, which I appreciate anyways.
Modular, highly modular.
And it's just stuff that like you wouldn't do unless it really served a purpose.
And it's kind of old by today's terms, with how quickly our news cycles, but I don't know if we ever talked about it. What do you think about the Gladiator?
They're big. What's 137? What's the wheelbase?
Yeah, 136, I think.
136?
That's a long boy.
It's a long boy.
A Scout Traveler, just for the record, is 118.
Yeah.
So that's
the long boy of the
longer.
Scout.
Yeah.
So stock Scout 2 is a 100-inch wheelbase. Yeah.
Which ironically is what the Bronco is, right? I think the Bronco is 100-inch.
Is it? Maybe. I think that sounds right. Yeah, the Gladiator's big. I don't know, when the 4-door Jeeps first came out, I think they got a lot of hate. And I was
the Wranglers.
Yeah, and I was a little skeptical myself, but then it was like, well, now I can take my family wheeling.
Right, everyone loves
them,
them,
so it
dude.
fit, and now they're just like a standard.
I think it outsells like 10-1
Yeah,
the 2-door.
probably.
So the Gladiator, to me, what I love about it is it's actually a different frame. It's a different suspension. There's models that have like, because one of the things about a Wrangler that's really, people push them, but like I think the tow rating on a stock Wrangler 4-door is like 3,500 pounds with a 1,500 pound gross like cargo capacity, including. No, it's not a ton at all.
I think that's what the Bronco is, to be honest, 3,500 pounds.
Right.
Which is kind of surprising. To those
So Gladiator is, I think, 5,000, but there's like a tow option.
They got some beefed up version.
Yeah, that bumps it to 7,500 tow rating.
Tow rating. Oh, wow.
Which is pretty exciting.
That's
You
good.
can't get that in a Rubicon. Like you can't get the Rubicon with the tow package, but it's got 410 gears. But I think Jeep's doing a great job. Mm-hmm. I've said this many times to people around, maybe said it on the show, but I'm so stoked on Ford, the Bronco, and Jeep with the Wrangler, the Gladiator, they are making vehicles that are fun, man. They're interesting. Like people, like, cause that went away. That was gone for a long. Like Scouts were fun. Scout 80s. You could fold down a windshield. You could take the doors off. That is fun.
Yeah.
But then it got boring for a long time, and now it's like the last 10 years.
Was your Twilight Flare? What'd you say?
Twilight Flare, dude.
Yeah.
That's not. I think that's coming and staying. People do not want boring cars anymore. What's that Russian car?
The
30 years, same exact model. I don't know.
The Bada or something.
Okay.
What do you think about the Defender?
Defender? If I was looking for any new vehicle
Out of those three, Bronco, Gladiator, Defender.
let's throw in Wrangler.
Wrangler, all right.
Now, one caveat would be reliability. Did Land Rover address the reliability
That's where I was going to bust you.
Right, but I would choose a Defender. I love the look of them.
Yeah.
They have like the similar Bronco modularity. I like the throwback rear lines of like the
They
quarters
did go
and
to they went
taillights.
with the same styling as the old ones. Which
I know a good friend of ours, Scott Brady, and if you ever want to listen to like more in-depth reviews on all of these models, like the Overland Journal podcast, they do a really good job of diving into this. But the Defender,
he would be an expert.
yes,
We're the enthusiasts. He's the expert.
that's
in
right,
this space.
and he loves the Defender.
Really,
He got to spend. He drove it in Africa. Has been driving one in the U.S. Front and rear lockers, diff lock, great power, amazing airbag suspension. I dig it. I'm a little nervous of it. I definitely would want to buy it, and I think they started like $55,000. That's pretty decent. Same with Broncos. Like they get expensive when you mod them out.
Broncos start under 30 for a base.
Would you get a base?
I was looking at them the other day. I don't know. I like the base rims the best, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just simple steelies.
That's interesting. Do you get the base and then put a lift on it, or do you just buy the Sasquatch?
And yeah, I'd have to look more at what, as far as like suspension tuning, because they know what they're doing. Like if you get their stuff, it's going to be.
That's another thing. The OEs have been exploding with cool, fun. They've seen the mega billion-dollar industry that the aftermarket is, and they want to play ball in that. So, and I think Ford has done a really good job. You know who blew it? Speaking of 2020 rollouts,
The Blazer.
the Chevy Blazer for one of the best iconic vintage vehicles,
Dude.
The first like the 69 to 72 Blazer, quintessential,
Truly iconic.
iconic, awesome vehicle.
And then they come out with this.
Well, real quick, 73 square body, which ran into like 88 or something like that. No, like 91.
I don't know, man.
The longest run ever. Also super cool, super iconic. And then it goes into the S10.
And they started
Just should have called it something else.
Blazer
But
in the Jimmy.
the new Blazer's horrible. It's like an Acadia
it's
for the soccer mom with no taste.
kind of a squished minivan.
So if you have a Blazer, I apologize.
And to soccer moms.
Blew it. GM, shame on you. I know we've said that before. But
Maybe, are they trying to right the wrongs? I saw they were coming out with something.
Well, the Hummer, I think they are trying.
Yeah, I guess. But as far as the Blazer,
You saw something?
I thought I saw some prototype. You know, you got the zebra packing on them and it's ripping around somewhere. But maybe.
I think they've gotten a lot of heat for how lame that is. And it's like so lame looking, I don't even care about the performance.
Yeah, right. Not even worth looking into.
Yeah, you could have an LT4 in it and just to be the sixth thing ever. Toyota products, I think like very good, very capable, very
just old reliable, man. They just put them out there. I think they have great aftermarket support.
Me too.
Like the market just eats up whatever they put in there.
But don't you feel like it's just they just don't stand out?
I don't think they're being as aggressive as they could, but
Which is part of their brand.
yeah, they're just
my second
easing it forward.
So a Defender's high on the list, but I asked my wife this, like I'm like, hey Heather, if you could get any newer kind of SUV right now, what would you want? And she said 100 series Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser, just good old
The best,
reliable,
dude.
man.
Like an 06, 07.
Props to you, Toyota.
Yeah, those are great. I love those bulbous taillights. Yeah. Okay.
What do you think about? You think they're ever going to come out? This is not really off road, but like the Cyclone and the Typhoon and that kind of stuff, like the super supercar of the truck world.
Good old
Think they're going to
days,
do
man.
some more of those? I saw Ford Lightning the other day. That's what reminded me of that.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm surprised no one is.
There was like a time, they had like the Dodge Bumblebee or something. Whatever. I don't know.
Stupid.
But like the Typhoon and those
Little Red
all-wheel
Express,
drive, turbo.
Yeah.
I feel like that
I
could
hope
be,
so.
That could be something
Those
cool.
are rad.
Yeah.
Okay, another amazing platform are the full-size 3/4 ton trucks.
I know nothing about those.
Well, you have like
drop some knowledge
the
on me.
Ram, the Power Wagon, where these trucks have a 10,000 plus. I think that's on the conservative side, a 10,000 pound plus tow rating with lockers,
they're
front
doing
and rear,
lockers and like
winch,
factory winch and yeah.
low transfer. These things are amazing.
Pretty wild
And
factory
they
options.
do everything.
Yeah.
It's almost not right how good they are. And like I've heard, especially like the Rams interiors are just like Range Rover level, if not better. Chevy has the AT4, which is like their off-road performance package, supposedly pretty cool. Ford's got the exciting.
This AT4 is a bigger than like their Colorado. That's a
Not
a step
yeah,
up.
it's like a 25 and 3500 series truck. So it's like but it's got like it's their off-road package performance. So it's got better suspension, tuned shocks, lockers. Ford has the Tremor with the new Godzilla or whatever they call that new 7.3
Big boy
with like 550 horsepower. It's crazy.
Twilight
Forget
Flare.
the diesels, dude. And all those full sizes are available with diesels that have like 1,200
Just
foot-pounds of
enormous torque. Yeah,
at
that's wild.
1,500 RPMs. So that's like, there's some really fun stuff happening in the market and in the industry, and we are just lightly scratching the surface. Again, in future episodes, we got a couple camper manufacturers lined up because I want to talk more about the innovation in the RV and camper space because it's really fun, and that's what's cool. It used to be like Australia was like 10 years ahead of the US in the overlanding and caravanning like industry. A lot of that stuff is coming over now and it's changing. Like I saw for the first time a swag, which is like, we talked about it on our gear episode, but it's like a sleeping bag tent, kind of like a bivy sack with a frame
Okay.
and a big thick mattress pad. So you just like roll it up, keep it on your roof rack. There's so much innovation, exciting times. It's motivating to us as we continue to innovate in our space and make the Scout more and more applicable to the modern context while still maintaining its classic sentiments and the things that make it so great. We're going to keep this episode a little on the short side, but where do you want to go? What are you excited about? Thinking about this winter, thinking about
Trips
next
coming
year?
up?
Yeah.
Oh man. I've been getting back into climbing. I went ice climbing last year for the first time out in Ouray, Colorado, and that
Man-made,
was
or like
kind
natural?
of man-made. Yeah, it was off of they had water tubes going down, dropping it all, so it was pretty safe for my first time out. But I heard there's some stuff up in, I think there's like a Duluth ice climbing festival or something.
Real quick,
So
because I've never been ice climbing. I used to go exploring with a friend, and we'd look for like waterfalls, and we'd find like little 6 to 10 footers.
yeah, little stuff that's gonna break apart. And
Yeah,
kill
but
you.
it was fun and adventurous. But is it like lead climbing or is it top roping when you've gone?
We top rope, yeah. So there's kind of some catwalks around the top, and you set up your rope, chuck it down, either rappel down or hike around. But we're talking like there's 60 foot walls.
That's
probably
kinda,
more.
That's tall,
I think
dude.
there's some bigger ones that were like, I don't know, 100 foot or so. But
That's crazy. 100 feet climbing up like a
It's
tower
tiring.
is scary.
because your hands are above your head, so you start like you can't feel your fingers. At least me, I'm out of shape on that. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to do some more ice climbing this winter. Scouts are locked up in the garage, keeping out of the salty brine.
Except for the terrible.
Except for the terrible. I'll probably do some romping.
Yeah, we're talking about doing a winter Wyoming trip, but I know it's crazy. But
I got to get doors on that thing.
yeah, I really want to do it. I think it'd be fun. It'd be miserable and challenging,
Yeah.
but it'd be kind of fun.
Good. You need some misery to remind you how good you have it.
That's right.
What do you got going on this winter?
Well, again, that's probably the
Wyoming?
big trip. Yeah.
Mentally gearing up for that,
Shenandoah's down,
but not out.
but not out. I have so many
Maybe out,
projects
though.
right now. I'm hopefully going to be working on some personal projects over the winter, nights and weekends.
Is hopefully an actual word?
Hopefully. Did I say that?
Yeah,
Hopefully. My son Owen has got a Scout 80 that we've been working on for a couple of years. It's mostly sitting.
You try to pull that in the garage? And
yeah, we're going to get that rolling this winter.
Nice.
I picked up an like a dual sport, not an adventure bike, but a dual sport, a WR250R. So I'm excited about that.
Sick.
And excited to
True ripper?
It rips, yeah. But it's also like a lightweight. I wanted something lightweight. My criteria was sub 300 pounds, capable of short romps on the highway, and capable off-road. But then that's hard to find. There's not a lot of bikes. And I didn't want really, like the KTMs are amazing, but they're like, change the oil every 500 miles and adjust the valves every 1,000 miles. Like I'm not doing that.
Got to get a little more towards the Toyota way.
The WR, dude, is
reliable.
Valve adjustment every 26,000, oil change every 5,000.
Yep.
So if you just change it every 2,500, great bike, low maintenance. Because I want to be able to haul it on the back of my Scout or the Suburban or my trailer.
You're getting ready to do a trip with that, right?
I was.
Ooh.
But I'll do one this winter for sure.
You have to do some trips
out west,
and then we could maybe reconvene and get your opinion.
Yeah, because I'm excited.
I
have a DR 200.
So
yeah, but I've done a lot of motorcycle riding in my life, but I've never honestly done a multi-day motorcycle-based adventure. Yeah, and I want you to get into that too, because I know it's actually pretty accessible, price-wise. I think I paid $4,500 for my WR. $600 in bags and gear, and you're hitting the road. But it's just it's a new way to experience adventure. So anyway, I'm excited about that.
Right.
I know this spring we're dreaming about and planning a new Legend Blue Ridge Mountain trip.
East Coast,
man.
At you.
It's going to be so beautiful. So we're going to be working with our friend Manny and some other folks out in the Southeast and head up there. And then for sure we'll go back to Moab next year. We'll get out to Arizona.
There's too much out there not to.
The West is amazing. Yeah. Utah. So anyway, if there's one takeaway from this episode, keep dreaming, plan some trips, hook up with us on our trips. We're gonna be kicking back off hopefully 3 or 4 meetups around the country in 2021. Let's hope for a bright future. Stay connected together. Don't get dismayed. Stay full of hope. Hang out with cool people. Hang out with uncool people. Get to know some new people. All right. Well, I think, Luke, thanks again, man, for hanging out. That was a quick talk. We glanced.
Thanks for having me.
The gist. Remember that episode? We were like,
gist.
Any topic. We'll just like talk briefly about any topic.
Dip your toes in and move on. Oh, that was enough.
Not too deep.
Enthusiasts, we said.
Enthusiasts. Yeah, stoked enthusiasts. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. The podcast is something that we love to do. It is not the easiest thing to do, but it is deeply rewarding. We're actually going to be hitting the road this week, going to do some more episodes. So we're hooking up with some really, really exciting, cool people that are doing rad things, and we'll keep bringing the stories to you. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah. See ya.